James! James!
Yes, dear?
It's time we left.
Yes, dear?
David hasn't even put the bags in the rolls yet.
No, dear?
James, do finish whatever you're doing and let's go. Don't want to rush down to Dover on a wet night like this.
Thank you, Mrs. Hoogen.
No, finish your porridge, Mr. Reader. Finish your porridge before your bacon.
I've had more than sufficient porridge, thank you, Mrs. Hoogen.
Oh, you've only had a wee mouthful. It was the same yesterday. Why do I bother cooking it for you, Mr. Reader?
But it's just that I don't have a large appetite, Mrs. Hoogen.
Now, I'm employed as your housekeeper, Mr. Reader, and it is my duty to feed you. And you are stopping me from performing my duties.
All I wish for my breakfast is some thin toast.
Last night I cooked you a most delicious meal of sheep's brains and giblet sauce. You took one mouthful and said you weren't hungry. Now, I take a pride in a job well done, and I intend to give you value for money, whether you want it or not. I'm not having you investigating with a wee sparrow's breakfast inside you. So you let me see a clean plate. I'll give you a good appetite, Mr. Reader. Have no fear of that. As my dear husband used to say to me, Martha, he said, every meal you give me is a banquet. Oh, such a lovely man. He was a bare 12 stone when I married him, and 18 stone when he died. Heart failure, they said it was. Aye, a fine figure. I built him up from a wee cliff of a thing, and I'll do the same for you, Mr. Reader. I'll give you no worse than I gave my husband. Now, what time can I expect you home this evening?
Well,
8:15 sharp will be very convenient for me.
I was thinking of dining out this evening, Mrs. Hoogen.
No, Mr. Reader. That will never do. We can't have you wasting your money on cafe rubbish. Now, I'm going to do my special tonight, boiled pig's head. I shall be ready to serve by 8:15.
Very well, Mrs. Hoogen. Pig's head. 8:15.
Good. I like to know where I am.
Good morning, Miss Warfield.
Well, good morning, sir. Ah, Reader. Late, are we? Is that what we are? Late?
No, Sir Jason. 9 a.m., my usual time on Wednesday morning.
I see. You are not late. I am early.
That could well be the case.
Had an excellent one at my club last night, Reader. Try this. Barber says to his customer, "Haven't I shaved you before, sir?" "No," says the customer. "These are war wounds."
Oh, first rate, Sir Jason. Excellent.
Look, Reader did you and all, didn't he?
Yeah. It was it evidence alone that got me 4 years. 4 years he got me. Started last month.
Yeah, 4 years he
Don't you
got
worry,
in.
Albert. Do not worry about Reader.
Don't worry. When are you due out?
Next Wednesday, but don't you worry.
Well, I wouldn't, would I? I was out next Wednesday.
No, don't you worry, Albert.
Listen, he got me 3 years, didn't he? He got Harry here 5. He's been betting well as Reader. But don't you worry.
Yeah, he'd been batting well as Reader, but Lou's gonna get him. Lou'll get him. Lou's been thinking for the past 3 years how he's gonna get him. Yeah, don't you worry, Albert.
You're gonna get him? How?
Never you mind. Never mind how. I'll lend you my crystal set. You can hear all about it.
You promised me that I could have.
I've got a lot of plans for Mr. Reader. For him and his nest egg.
Yeah. I heard about his nest egg. They say he's got thousands sorted away.
Thousands.
Look, he's got a nice little stocking hidden away from the gaffers, and that is a fact.
Who told you?
I can't disclose my source.
No, he can't disclose his
I'm at
source.
liberty to tell you this. Mr. Reader's made more out of crime than any of us.
His work's his hobby. Yes, his hobby. That's what Lou always says.
Look, his real money comes from all the bribery and blackmail he carries on.
Lou says you don't think Reader lives on what he earns up at Scotland Yard, Lou says.
Scotland Yard.
No, he ain't with Scotland Yard no more. He's moved up in the world. He's a sleuth now, but a director of public prosecution. You got head like a sill, Harry.
Oh, yeah, Director of Public Prosecutions, yeah.
Yeah. I had heard he got it all sorted away, but the gaffers can't catch him, because he don't keep it in the bank.
Nah, don't you worry, Albert. Lou's gonna do him.
He is? How?
Listen, next week I'm out. I'm gonna get Reader. If it takes me the rest of my life, I'll get Mr. Reader.
11 years. Whoops. Spilt it again. Oh dear, you are looking at me fiercely today, Mr. Reader. I didn't mean to spill it. There. And not a drop in the saucer.
First class, Miss Wyville. First class.
I have to thank you for an excellent lunch, Jason. One of the reasons I hate going out on circuit is the appalling provincial food. It's only when I'm sitting at the Old Bailey that I get properly fed.
I enjoyed reading your summing up in that forgery case. Times did you proud. 2 whole columns.
Yes, reported my every word. A fine cognac, Jason.
They keep it for me.
Your Mr. Reader gets more nervous and frightened every time I see him. During this case, I had to ask him to speak up. Twice.
You would do. Our Mr. Reader grows more self-effacing every day. So modest. An oppressed childhood, I should think. Not that I know much about him. He moves in a mysterious way, his wonders to perform. I let him get on with it.
He seems competent enough. When you can hear him. The content of his evidence was impeccable. But his style of delivery was like some maiden aunt who's suddenly been frightened by a motor car.
I hate his hat.
I've never seen his hat.
And I loathe his black coat. People see him coming into the office, think he's an undertaker. But he is capable.
Why does he wear those awful side whiskers?
He thinks I'm rather overbearing, do you know? When I talk rough to him, he looks as if he would burst into tears.
Why those sideboards? He gives evidence as if it were he who was guilty.
No, our Mr. Reader is incapable of breaking the law.
I dare say somebody once said that about Crippen.
Reader! Come in.
You wanted to see me, Sir Jason?
You heard me call, surely.
Yes, sir.
Then why ask?
I, no idea.
Among the anonymous letters which avalanche onto my desk every day from the various departments, there is one epistle which might appeal to the tortured labyrinths of your mind, reader.
Thank you, sir.
I do not see the motive of this letter. It seems to be prompted by none of the usual reasons. Jealousy, malice, simple mischief-making, or even a sordid desire for financial advancement. Now, where is it? Reader, do sit down.
Thank you, sir.
That's not it. No, that's a young lady friend of Mr. Lloyd George's who needs some assistance. Not your area, reader? You don't like the ladies, do you?
I do, sir. But they don't seem to be aware of it.
You should take one of these postal courses in social confidence.
I could well find that most beneficial.
Here we are. I do wish people who wrote anonymous letters would use decent stationery. It begins without preamble. Sir James Tithermite is going to marry his cousin, and it's not 3 months since his poor wife fell overboard from the Channel steamer crossing to Calais. There is something very fishy about this business. Miss Margaret doesn't like him, for she knows he's after her money. Why was I sent away to London that night? He is not a good driver. He does not like driving in the dark. It's strange that he wanted to drive that night when it was raining like blazes. Here, sort it out, reader.
It's signed a friend.
Yes, Justice has many such friends. Just check the facts, reader. Nothing more. I seem to remember that Lady Tithermite was drowned at sea.
On the 19th of December of
Hey,
last
what's
year.
that sneak up, man?
On the 19th of December of last year.
Yeah.
She and Sir James were going to Monte Carlo, breaking their journey in Paris. Sir James, who has a house near Maidstone, drove the car to Dover and garaged it in the Lord Wilson Hotel. The night was stormy and the sea was rough. They were halfway across when Sir James went to the captain and said that he had missed his wife and feared she'd fallen overboard. Her baggage was in the cabin, but the lady was not. Indeed, was never seen again.
Very well, reader. I can see that you have read up the case.
I remember it. The case is a favourite speculation of mine. Unfortunately, I see evil in everything. And I've often thought how easy it would have been in this case to... But I have a warped view of life. It is a horrible handicap sometimes to possess a criminal mind.
A discharged chauffeur wrote that letter, of course.
Thomas Dayford of 179 Barrack Street, Maidstone. He is a present in the employ of the Kent Motor Bus Company and has 3 children, 2 of whom are twins.
Yes. I think we can take it that you know. We'll go and find out what's behind that letter, will you? Go in, reader.
Sir?
Sir James is a big fellow in Kent. Justice of the peace and all that. All I require is a routine check. If any kick comes back to this office, it will land upon you treble-fold.
Naturally, sir.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that it is fitting that I should be penalised if in the course of my inquiries I commit an indiscretion which gives rise to offence.
Reader, you should get married and settle down with a good woman. That would sort most of your troubles out, if I may say so.
Indeed you may. I find it very warming that you should take such an interest in my personal life.
I've no intention of doing that. Have you no one in mind?
Oh, no, I think I'm on the shelf now.
Oh, nonsense, man. You're in your prime.
Well, since you mention it, there is a lady who passes my house every day on her way to work. She has a most charming smile.
And you pass the time of day with her,
I do. But she is always accompanied by another lady. Her mother. If you'll excuse me, I'll make very discreet inquiries into this case of Sir James Tithamite.
Yes, sir.
Miss Warfield, sometimes I've seen you with a pad of writing paper.
Oh, Mr. Reader, I only write letters to my friend when we're slack.
I'm sure of that, Miss Warfield. I'm not admonishing you, merely asking you a favour.
Oh.
If you have it in your possession today, would you be kind enough to give me a sheet of it? Thank you, Miss Warfield. Miss Warfield, thank you.
Private letters in the taxpayer's time?
No, Sir Jason. This is an anonymous letter. To you, sir. About Sir James.
Reader, I have given you the letter received in this office. For some obscure reason, you wish to show Sir James a letter of your own devising, yes?
Yes.
Perhaps the chauffeur's letter is not to your liking.
I like it very much. But I couldn't show it to Sir James because he might... Well, he might jump the wrong way. You see?
You explain nothing, reader. I have given you your assignment. I wish to know nothing more. But I warn you, Sir James has powerful friends in Whitehall.
Do try and understand it, my dear.
I am trying to understand it, James.
The lawyer will be here at any moment. If you have any queries, just ask me. If not, we can sign the document as soon as the chap arrives.
Just don't understand all these legal expressions.
I have explained it all to you, my dear.
I know. I'm stupid, James. I'm sorry.
Not at all. I don't really expect you to understand it. Just tell me if you have any doubts, that's all. Now, look. Page 1's unimportant. Page 2 says in so many words that the purpose of the document, your intention, that is to make me trustee of your estate on your marriage to me. Page 3 states that I, as your husband-to-be, am the person best fitted to handle your affairs and not your aunt, as at present. For on your marriage to me, I shall be your next of kin. The person closest to you. Ah, here is the lawyer chap now.
Oh, dear.
Now, there's nothing to be alarmed about, Margaret. You mustn't be alarmed. What is there to be anxious about? If you give this impression to the lawyer, he may well think you don't want me to handle your legacy. He may even think I'm trying to coerce you, when as a matter of fact, it's something you want to do, don't you?
Yes. It confuses me. But if you say it's all right, then it's all right.
Of course it is. Just you take it from me, my dear. It'll be all for your benefit. When we're married, I shall manage your estate as well as my own. But in order to do this, I must be able to control it.
Yes.
So just you tell the lawyer before he witnesses your signature that you do so willingly and with full knowledge.
Oh, I do, James. I do.
Excellent. Come in.
A gentleman to see you, Sir James. Mr. Reader.
Oh, show him in, will you, Nugent?
Yes, sir.
There you are. You see, my dear, the fact they only send a junior is surely an indication that the matter's purely one of routine. So, you see, my treasure, there's nothing to be nervous about. How beautiful you're looking today. How lovely you are. A glorious gem. Come in.
Mr. Reader, Sir James.
Good afternoon, Sir James.
Afternoon. Mr. Reader, this is my fiancée, Miss Margaret Shackleton.
My pleasure, miss.
Well, I don't think we need to delay you long, Mr. Reader. My fiancée has read the document, so what's the drill, eh?
Very sorry, Sir James. There seems to be some mistake.
You are from Hobson and Mattock, the solicitors, aren't you?
No, Sir James. I must regretfully disclaim any connection with those legal luminaries. I am from a government department.
Oh. Oh, I see. I was expecting some fool of a lawyer. Well, leave us for a few moments, will you, dearest?
Certainly, James. Excuse me. Thank you.
I would have found it more convenient if you'd made an appointment, Mr. Reader. However, what does the Director of Public Prosecutions want with me?
It's a minor matter, Sir James. We've received an anonymous letter concerning your good self.
Oh, you don't take any notice of that sort of trash, do you?
Perhaps you'd like to scan it.
Well, it's illiterate handwriting to start with. I can hardly read a word. What? Utter nonsense. Lady Tithermite's jewellery sold in Paris after she was drowned. I never heard such rubbish. Why, I brought her jewel case back with me that very night. Anyhow, I don't recognize the handwriting. Who is the lying scoundrel who wrote that?
Yes, I thought it was untrue. I followed the case very thoroughly. You left here in the afternoon.
At night?
Oh, yes, of course, yours at night. And?
Oh, frankly, Mr. Reader, I'm not inclined to discuss the matter.
I do understand, Sir James. Must be most distressing to be reminded of that terrible night. I wouldn't like to upset you. Just something we've got to sort out. This was obviously written by some lunatic. I'm very, very sorry that my inquiries brought back painful memories. So, very, very sorry.
Not at all. I realize that as a public department you have to follow these things up, no matter how lunatic they may be. As far as the accident's concerned, we left at night, as I say. It's only an 80-minute run to Dover, and we got there about 11 o'clock, same time as the boat train. I got my cabin key from the purser and put her ladyship and the baggage inside.
Her ladyship is a good sailor?
Oh, yes, very good sailor. She was remarkably well that night. I left her dozing in the cabin and went on deck for a stroll.
Raining very heavily, and a strong sea running.
Yes. I'm a jolly good sailor, too. As for that ridiculous story about the jewelry, it's absolute nonsense. You can tell your superiors that with my compliments.
Oh, thank you. It's a beautiful place you have here, Sir James. Lovely place.
Yes.
Extensive estates?
Yes, extensive. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Lovely day.
Oh, 'tis that, sir.
What place is that?
Well, that's South Lodge, sir.
And who inhabits it?
Oh, no one now. Hasn't been lived in for some years. Poor old Joe Whitson used to live there before the war. It's been empty since then. Part of Sir James Tithermite's property.
Tithermite? I seem to remember a Lady Tithermite being drowned at sea. But I don't expect it's the same one.
Oh, yes, that was her, all right, sir.
I suppose she fell overboard.
Well, that's what I reckon happened to her ladyship, because, you see, she wasn't a very good sailor. Very bad sailor, in fact.
Really?
I know, because every time she went abroad, she used to get a bottle of that stuff that people take for seasickness. I've delivered many a bottle till Rakes the chemist down in the village stocked it. Picker's Traveller's Friend, that's what it was called.
Well, if I go this way, will I come to the village?
You will, sir. Just keep walking.
Thank you. Good day to you.
Good day, sir.
No, reader, I cannot possibly authorize a search warrant on the strength of your surmises. The story is so incredible it would be more at home in the pages of a sensational penny journal than a public prosecutor's report.
It was a wild night, and yet Lady Tithermite was not ill.
No, I cannot do it. Not on the evidence. Can't you do something unofficially?
My presence in the neighborhood has been remarked. It would be impossible for me to cover up my traces. And yet I have located the place.
No, reader, the whole thing is mere deduction on your part. Oh, yes, I know you have a criminal mind, but I think you are simply crediting Tithermite with your own ingenuity. It's just not on, reader.
Dear me.
There is a person to see you. He says his name is Lou Cole.
Yes, would you show him in, please, Mrs. Houchin?
I told him it was 7:30 on a Sabbath morning.
Good morning, Cole.
Didn't expect to see me, eh?
Not so early. But then I should have remembered that early rising is one of the good habits inculcated by penal servitude.
3 years you got me. 3 years of hell. I'm a bad forgetter, reader. And a man in Dartmoor has time to think.
That phrase seems familiar. Let me think. It's in a melodrama, of course. Which one? Souls in Harness? The Marriage Vow?
Well, this is going to be a different kind of drama. I'm going to get you, reader. I'll get you sweet. There'll be no evidence to swing me, and I'll get that nice little stocking of yours.
Dear me, I shall have to go barefoot.
Yeah, I know you got cash tucked around here somewhere. Just you think that over. Someday you'll go under, and all Scotland Yard won't catch me but a killing.
You've obviously been doing a great deal of thinking, Cole. But then one has time to think in Dartmoor. For the matter of killing me, I do dislike violence of any kind. But I particularly resent the injustice of making me personally responsible for the performance of my public duty.
Yeah, on you odd, mate, you squirm. Especially now you come up in the world. No longer chasing common thieves like you did at Scotland Yard for 20 years. No, you're one of the big wheels at the Director of Public Prosecutions now, I know. But that don't wipe out your debt to me.
I'm flattered that you should take such an interest in my modest career, but you're perfectly right. I hadn't had any contact with gentlemen who commit petty crimes, like yourself, for a considerable time.
No,
But I find the larger area of the Public Prosecutor's Office very rewarding.
I'll bet you do, but I ain't come here to give you cash to keep your mouth shut. I'll come here to collect. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but I'll be collecting for you. Just you turn that over in your mind. And maybe in a day or so, you won't be feeling quite so gay.
How on earth did that happen?
You swine. You tried to shoot me.
You don't really believe that, do you? Still thinking of killing me, Cole? Central 1295. Go. Hello. Detective Sergeant Alford. Good morning. J.G. Reader here. I'm sorry to disturb your Sunday morning in bed, but I have a little assignment for you.
Hello. What's the matter with you? You look as though you've been chased by a busy. Here, what'd you go out so early for?
Well, tell Reader I come to get him. Oh, I got him scared.
Hey?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he tried to shoot me.
You what?
Oh, but I was too clever for him. I ducked in time. I told him. Said I was going to get him before the year was out.
You sure he wasn't waiting for you? He might have been waiting for you ever since you left the moor.
Well, I scared him anyway.
Good scout, scared that little bit. If he's as white as you was when you came through that door, then he is scared. But he's not. He must have meant to miss you. I'll bet he shot past you. If he'd wanted to shoot you, you'd have been stiff by now. Call yourself a thinker. He's certainly given you something to think about.
Yeah, where that gun come from, I don't know. Stan!
What?
I got it! I got a brainstorm! I can prove he's got a stocking. When he fired that shot at me, he's good as admitted it. Course! He's got a stocking so big he's got to have a gun to guard it.
Who's there?
Sergeant Alford, CID.
Coppers.
Morning, boys. Not been to church, Stan. Hello, Lou. How's trade?
Not so bad.
Come to see about a notebook, Lou.
Notebook?
Property of Mr. J.G. Reader. He couldn't find it after you left him.
Well, I ain't got his notebook. I ain't got nothing of his.
Is that true? Is it, Stanley? You'd tell me the truth, wouldn't you? Especially since you only came out yourself last month on licence.
I don't know about any notebook, and I never said a truer word.
You come for a little walk to the station, Lou, or you let me go over you?
Well, you go over me, mate.
You wouldn't like stolen property found on your premises, would you, Stanley?
I got nothing, know nothing about anything, ever.
Then you won't mind if we have a little look round. What is it, Burgett?
Can I have a word with you, Sergeant? It's been found, sir.
Oh, been found, is it? All right, lads. Sorry to disturb your Sunday morning, Stanley. Seems Mr. Reader made a mistake, and he apologises.
Accepted.
Cheerio. Oh, by the way, Lou, take my tip. I wouldn't start following Mr. Reader around, going to his home and that. He likes his private life to remain private. I wouldn't get on the wrong side of Mr. Reader if I were you.
Oh, told you, didn't I? I got him worried. He didn't lose no notebook. He sent Alford round here for one purpose only, to warn me off. He's scared stiff of me finding his stocking.
If you're going to get Reader's money, you'll have to have better plans than you fought up on the moor.
Reader don't want me to follow him.
Lou, look. If you get dragged, I'll get dragged too. I don't like snakes, so I keep away from the zoo, and I don't like Reader. So you better clear off and find some other digs.
I stay? All right. You stay with us small time. I was only giving you a chance.
We had 5 different officers tailing coal from the time you left your house this morning, and he's now sitting outside reading a paper and watching this entrance.
Excellent. You can call your men off, Sergeant, now that we know that Mr. Cole has taken the bait. One of them might be recognized, and Mr. Cole would feel inhibited.
But he's threatened to kill you, sir.
He won't do that until he's found my stocking. He's a simple man, but he knows which side his bread is buttered. Thank you, Sergeant.
Very good, sir.
I'm just going out for a sandwich luncheon, Miss Warfield. I shall be back in 1/2 hour.
Yes, sir.
Reader, how goes Tither, mate?
Well, officially, there is very little to report, Sir Jason.
I asked you to do something unofficially.
Yes, sir. I am following an unofficial line, actually. In fact, at this moment, I have an unofficial following. Pum, 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 pum. Pum, 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 pum. I want to leave this case in your safekeeping until I catch the next train up to London.
Clifford's. Alf, you got that kettle going? I'm coming to have my tea.
And her mother comes too. It's a two-seater. Still her mother comes too. And Spiros when I'm free.
Stan, what are you doing back here?
Yeah, I done it.
I thought I told you to keep away. How many coppers apology are this time?
Oh, got it.
Got who? And if it's killing, you needn't answer, but get out.
Me kill it here. Stop this row, will you? God. Look, I've been trailing Reading for a week, and that fella wants him trailing. I found his stocking.
You never have.
Yeah, I followed him down his village in Kent, Climbry. Followed him down his lane. He tried to give me the slip, but I was too clever for him. Went to the left luggage office, left it there.
You thieved it?
Well, just had to lean over. Go on, own it. £200, eh?
But you told me Reader had a fortune. Is that what you've been going on about? 200 quid?
Ah, that's just his expenses, Reader's travelling money. He went down there tonight to collect from his bank. I found the bank. Where he keeps the rest of it. Here, listen, you missed the best bit. Where is it? Hang on. Now, look. Hang on. SL, March 1922, £400. KM, January 1922, £500, £700. Hang on.
WW, £550, 620, £900.
That's it.
Yeah. What's this diagram thing?
Ah, that you don't see. Not unless you're in this with me 50-50.
No, I don't want to have anything to do with Reader.
Look, Stan, you're a burglar, I'm a forger. I know me limitations. I need your equipment. Come on, you with me? I need your technical knowledge.
Well, if it's just plain thieving...
God, it's plain thieving and sweet. Look, now this is a plan of the house, and that's the lodge. Now, see that mark?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That must be it. That's his stocking. Look, Stan, I need your jemmy, your chisel, your hammer, and your lovely delicate touch. Good lad. Come on, there's a train to Climbry in half an hour. Shut up, will ya? What's that? Well, it can only be a rat. Right, torch. Come on, give us it. Now, come on, look around, will you? Maybe under one of these floorboards. So all we got to do is look for one that's loose. Stan! Go and look over there, will you?
I don't like rats.
Hey, Stan. Stan? Did you find it, Stan?
No, it's my ankle. I think I broke my ankle. Lou, give us a hand. Lou, come on, I can't move. Give us a hand.
Let me out! Blimey. Good evening, Cole.
I didn't do nothing, Gov. Honest, I didn't do it. I only come here for the money, honest.
I come here for my money, actually.
Yeah, well, I've got it, Gov. How? Here, it's all in my pocket. Hey, it's all yours.
Oh, thank you, Cole. I won't check it. I'll take your word. Mr. Kirby, I presume. Mr. Kirby. And friend.
Then I'll take you to Monty, my dear, with the Devonshires, Richard and Mary. You'll love the casino. Nugent, would you mind knocking before you come in?
Forgive me, sir. The Chief Constable and Mr. Reader.
Sir James to the might.
You have known me for 10 years, Colonel. What is it?
I arrest you for the willful murder of your wife, Eleanor Mary to the might.
It's extremely nice of you to say that, sir. I was only doing a job. Oh, yes, the moment I saw the anonymous letter, I had a feeling that I was onto something. What gave me my first clue?
The whole thing turned upon whether Lady Tithermite was a good sailor or not.
The whole thing turned upon whether Lady Tithermite was a good sailor or not.
If a bad sailor, it was unlikely she'd be on the ship for more than 5 minutes without calling for a stewardess.
Yes, sir, yes. If a bad sailor, I deduced it was most unlikely she'd be on board ship for 5 minutes without sending for a stewardess.
My report is under your diary, Sir Jason.
My report, as I say in my report, the lady was murdered within the grounds of the manor. Her body was buried beneath the floor of the lodge. Sir James then made off in his car to Dover, where he handed sufficient luggage for man and wife to a porter, telling him to take it to his cabin. He then parked the car and timed his arrival on board to coincide with a crowd of passengers from the boat train. What, sir?
Who gave the key to his cabin? The purser.
The purser, sir. He had already surrendered Lady Tithermite's ticket to the collector and received her landing voucher. Officially, she was now on board. Halfway across the channel, he discovered she was missing. Yes, you're quite right, sir. I should say discovered in inverted commas. The ship was searched, but of course the unfortunate lady was not found. Oh, really, I am most flattered. I'm sure I do not deserve all these compliments, Home Secretary. Oh, really, too good of you. Goodbye, sir. The word discovered should be in inverted commas, reader.
I'll attend to that immediately, Sir Jason.
Come in. I still do not understand how you knew that Lady Tithermite had never boarded that ship.
As I said before, sir, I have a criminal mind. Having this odd and objectionable tray, I saw how very simple it was to give the illusion that the lady was on board. All the evidence pointed to the virtual certainty that she was buried somewhere in the lodge. But I couldn't disprove or prove my theory without a search warrant. I myself couldn't undertake a private investigation for fear of risking the reputation of our department, if I may say our.
But you induced this man Cole to dig up a floor by pretending you had money hidden there. Now, why on earth should he imagine that you, of all people, had buried treasure?
The criminal mind is a peculiar thing. It harbors illusions and fairy stories. Fortunately, I understand that mind, as I've often said.